demystifying the myths surrounding stock markets.
Try to get people started with the stock market because it's very important to get started with your investments as early as possible.
She's a young achiever with infinite potential.
You can start as early as you want. You can only get a demat account when you're 18, like in your name, but you can start with your parents' account, right?
NewsX influencer A-list proudly recognizes Caslynn Qusay Naha for influence in financial management. Hello and welcome. You're joining us. The NewsX influencer A-list with us today is yet another finance influencer. Now, when we say finance influencer, we think stocks, we think stock markets, we think insurance. And Caslynn here is 19 years old. And on the internet, she's giving out information on how to manage finances. Caslynn, thank you so much for being with us on the show, and welcome to NewsX.
It's a pleasure. I'm very excited to be on here.
All right. So, Caslynn, firstly, tell us about your journey because you're 19 years old. From what I understand from our conversation, you're still pursuing your degree. You're simultaneously working on being a chartered accountant. Tell us a little about yourself, and your social media journey.
Okay, so like you said, I'm doing BCom with CA right now. I'm going to be giving my CA Inter exams this November. And I also have a social media page where I talk about the stock market and try to get people started with the stock market because it's very important to get started with your investments as early as possible. Social media is something I like doing. Like I like being in front of a camera. So I had started out with reels. Yeah. So like when I started getting some followers, I was like, might as well give them something valuable, right? Like get them started with something. And then there's also this thing, only 2 to 3% of the Indian population actually invest in the stock market. And I was like, I need to get more people into this, especially the youth, because it's very important. A 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 job doesn't really, satisfy all your needs and desires. So as soon as you get started.
Do you invest in stock markets? And if you do, then at what age did you start, investing in stocks?
I started when I was 18. Up until then, I was studying about it and then paper trading and stuff.
So like for somebody like me, I do not have a finance background whatsoever, right? So if somebody tells me tomorrow start investing in stocks, I don't know where to begin. What would your tip be, as a social media influencer, as a content creator who talks about finance? What would your tip be, to simplify or dumb down finance for people like I?
So see, if you have no knowledge about finance at all, I would say go for index funds or ETFs. Now, what are these? Index funds, like now you know about Nifty, right? It represents the country's economy. That is what Nifty represents. Now, would you expect your country's economy to go down? Like you are always, bullish on your country's economy, right? You always wanted to go up and you are pretty sure it will go up because we are all working towards it. We are all contributing to it in a way. So what happens is when you invest in an index fund, it is actually copying the index, the returns of the index, right? So it's safer for you and you know where your money is going. It is like, it is basically like Nifty has this 50 companies list. So this index fund is also investing in those 50 companies in that certain ratio. So you are getting return. You're getting as much return as Nifty is giving on an yearly basis. That is a good way to go for a beginner. And also like ETFs. ETFs also mirrors the index as well, like Nifty Bs, Bank Bs. Those are some ETFs you can get started with. These are directly traded on the stock market. And also the expense ratio is relatively low. It's easier to get. Like ETFs and index funds are the way to go if you're just getting started and have no idea. Okay. Because you're basically just going with the country's economy and like Nifty. So that is something you can actually trust.
Okay. So, I want to know from you, you're 19 years old, right? And when it comes to finance, people usually look for elder people that have more experience, to say the least, in the field. So when you start putting out content, was it a little daunting? Was it, were you ever scared of giving out, let's say, the wrong advice and getting some kind of backlash on the internet? Because the internet is an unforgiving place, right? At the end of the day.
Right. I was scared, but then I realized like I shouldn't really put out something which I have half knowledge of. What I'm putting out right now is completely related to stock market, and I try to present it in the form of memes. right? So these are basically solely based on my experiences, what I have learned and everything. So I make sure I know the topic entirely before I actually put it out. And plus, I think putting it out in the meme format or in a fun way has actually helped a little. Because and it's not like I'm actually giving out total investment advice or something. I'm just like asking them to at least get started with it. Because people have this perception that the stock market is a gamble, which actually angers me a lot, because it's not. If you know what you're doing, it's not a gamble. Because if you look at it, if you get into anything with half knowledge, it is bound to be a gamble. So make sure you're actually studying about it and have at least know what you're doing, and it will definitely not be a gamble.
So, talking about your social media journey, you said that you've been creating content for 4 months now, and in 4 months to reach staggering 75,000 plus followers is massive. What has it been like, Caslynn? When did you start? When did you realize that your account or your channel was picking up? And did you put in some kind of paid promotions to get the word out there, or how did this work? Is this all organic?
Okay, so what happened is I think I started with YouTube. I don't upload anything on YouTube as such right now, but I started with vlogs around in November last year. So, and then I was like, if I have a YouTube account, I need to have an Instagram account too.
Yeah.
So around that time itself, I created an account, but I wasn't really active on that. But then I think around Jan or Feb, I started posting regularly, but then it was not, finance based. It was all entertainment based, something that I like to do. Like as the time passed, I wasn't really serious about this. I was like, dekha jayega kinds. And then I think around mid-March, I actually started gaining traction, like a lot of followers actually.
Did you realize that, it's important to have a niche? And sorry for cutting you off, because you said that eventually you realized that you wanted to delve into finance, more particularly. So
yeah.
Do you feel that having a niche is what has helped you gain the kind of followers that you have?
I guess, and mainly I think loving what I do, right? Because when I started gaining those followers back in March, I realized, I don't really want to give this sort of content out to them, like where they're not exactly getting some value out of it, right? So I wanted to give some value-based content, but in a fun way. So I started with this finance thing, and I think it has helped. Yes, building a niche is always a good thing, because your audience knows then what to expect, and then they know what they have come for. So
right. So before we let you go, Caslynn, because we have run out of time, I want you to give the people watching this, our viewers, especially those that are younger, the younger audience watching this interview, if you could give them 2 tips on investing in stock markets real quick.
Okay, so like I said, start with index funds and ETFs and study as much as possible. You might think you know nothing or something, but then, once you get started, because when I look back on myself, like last year, I used to know nothing. And now when I look at myself, I'm like, okay, I know something. So just keep going, be consistent. Yeah. That is all that matters. Don't get intimidated by other people. Just get started and you'll be good.
All right. It's been a pleasure having you, Caslynn. More power to you, and keep shining.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon. For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.